I hear this store employee getting really frustrated and like complaining to the coworkers, like, some dog took a giant dump in aisle 4. And I was like, being a disabled person in public spaces is truly never a dull moment. The unhinged way non disabled people behave will never cease to amaze me, a blind woman. And I have had 3 situations over the last 2 weeks that exemplify my point. So I thought we'll do like a little mini story time and I'll tell you all 3. None of them are long enough for like their own dedicated video. So I'm doing a compilation, and please keep in mind this is literally just the last 2 weeks in my life. Also, keep in mind, I do live in a big city. I live in Los Angeles and I go out a lot. I am not a homebody by any stretch of the imagination. So, of course, me being in a big city with millions and millions of people and going out to new places frequently, I will just experience a lot more crazy situations than if I, say, was still living in my suburban town where I grew up and went to like the same 5 places over and over again with my friends and family. So, let's get into it. 2 weeks ago, my fiance and I decided that we were going to go try a new restaurant out in Venice. We don't live anywhere near Venice. We never go there. We were there for work. And Venice is poppin'. Like, it's so up and coming. There's so many good restaurants in that area. And there's a lot of like the very foodie places right now. And we're big foodies. We love trying new things. So we were like, okay, we'll wait out the traffic, because literally like my work ended at 4:30, which means we would have been in so much traffic. So we were like, perfect, we'll go, we'll grab some food, wait out the traffic, win win win. We go to this restaurant, we're like the first there. It opens at 5, we are standing at the door at 5. We walk in, everybody's super lovely. They don't bat an eye at Elton. They don't ask a single question. Like, none of this, is that a service dog, what service does it provide stuff, just let me right in, like they knew. We end up sitting out back on the patio, very vibey. Our waiter comes over, and my partner and I are like in the midst of a conversation when he comes over. So we're like a little bit distracted by what we were talking about. And we stop and like look over at him, and he's like, I'm just gonna leave this right here. And we're like, oh, thank you. Assuming he was leaving the drink menu because the food menu was on the table, but you know, like a lot of nice restaurants, they have a separate dessert menu and a separate drinks menu. So we assumed this was the drinks menu. Nay, nay, my friends. It was a list of rules that me and my service dog must follow to stay at the establishment. Yes. They went to the trouble of printing this out. Somebody made the file on their computer, made it look pretty, printed it out on custom-sized paper. This is not a standard-sized piece of paper. And they hand this to everybody who comes into the restaurant with a service dog. I was gobsmacked. I have had a service dog for 19 years this July, and I eat out more than I would like to admit and more than my wallet would like me to. But when I travel for work, for example, which I travel a ton for work, I'm literally eating out basically 3 meals a day every day when I'm on the road. So like, I go to a lot of restaurants. Never have I ever had this experience. So without further ado, I will have my sighted fiance read to us the rules and regulations that we must follow.
Service animals are welcome. No pets allowed. Comfort and/or emotional support animals are not service animals. Service animals house rules. Please do not place your animal on the table, in your lap, in a passageway, or on a chair. Clearly, things you should know. Yeah.
So much to unpack here. First off, like, love the intro. Trying to be very welcoming. Though I must say, receiving a list of rules doesn't feel super welcoming, even though their first line is, you're so welcome here with your dog. But yes, correct, agree with everything they've said up until there. Like, emotional support animals, comfort animals are not service dogs, no pets allowed. We're all on the same page here. And then service dog house rules. No. These are not your house rules.
Oh,
These
that's a
are
really
just,
good point. Yeah.
These are just the rules. You're just telling me, a service dog user, the rules that I, a service dog user, already know and abide by. That's crazy work. Like, never in a million years. Obviously, like, Elton's a big boy. He's not getting on the furniture at a restaurant. But like, even if I had a small dog that was my service dog, which is rare, but it does exist, I would not be putting it on the furniture. Also, weird when they say like, don't put it in passageways. what is that even? What's a passageway? Like, he is going to be between the two tables, perhaps, if the table has like a center leg that doesn't allow me to put him under the table, which is where we prefer to put him. But like, I don't know. Anyways, okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure in a passageway, like, that's not a law. Like, I think furniture
Well, these are
is
like
like
guide dog,
closer to
service
a
dog
law.
etiquette.
Yeah,
Right?
etiquette.
Like, it's the
Yeah.
etiquette that we would, of course, follow as service dog users.
However, I feel like passageway is a weird one because, how do I word this? Like, they should accommodate space.
Right.
You know,
like,
so they
what
should
you need
either
to be
move
putting
chairs
me
out
in
of
a
the
space.
way,
Exactly.
or find you a table where he can be
Out
around
of
the
the
back
way.
side, so he's not in the path of the server or something.
Right, which is like usually what restaurants do when they see us. They'll like go out of their way most of the time to either ask us what we think is best, like what table would be best for me to sit at with him, or they will go out of their way to make sure they're finding a table where they know that my dog will definitely have the right amount of space. So it's like weird for them to say that that's our responsibility when it's like, but also it's your responsibility to help me be seated somewhere
Yeah,
where
they
my
have to
dog,
accommodate.
my 70-pound dog, won't be in the way. Okay, next.
Okay, next. Avoid the 3 Bs. I love how it's as if they made that up or
I
something.
love how
They-
it's like it's fun. They're
Yeah.
like the 3 Bs, like they're making this like a fun little lesson for the class.
barking, biting, and begging. The begging one is really funny.
It's so funny. I mean,
It's like, who decided that? The
Literally-
service animals aren't allowed to beg. Like,
I mean they
Well, they
shouldn't, but
shouldn't
it's like,
be, but,
what is
like-
that disturbing anyone?
yeah, exactly.
Like him sitting giving puppy dog
Sorry,
eyes.
your dog is begging. I'm gonna ask you to leave.
Again, like Elton would never, we don't feed him any form of human food. And I do that for a reason. I don't want him thinking human food is ever on the table for him. Like, I don't want him ever thinking like, and I understand like carrots, blueberries, bananas, these are in ways healthy for dogs to consume. I don't care. It's not appropriate for me to feed my dog. He doesn't get pup cups, nothing. You can say that I'm cruel for that. He gets plenty of treats, dog treats. I make sure that I am not, and I made the mistakes with my previous dogs. My previous guide dogs, I did give them human food. Gallop, we know, he was a cheese monster. I made a very conscious decision with Elton to never give him any form of human food ever, 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 because I did not want him to develop the taste buds for it. I didn't want him in public spaces to ever think that food on the floor meant it was for him, that food on the table could be theoretically his if he like asked nicely. I just didn't want him thinking that. So in Elton's mind, like human food is never under any circumstance his food. So he would never beg ever, ever, ever.
He's even good like at home. We can be eating dinner on the coffee table, which is his head height, and I can leave the bowl there and walk away, and he'll just completely ignore it. Like he like no question, he would never.
He would never, ever, ever. And I can't recommend that enough to service dog users. So just never even letting yourself go there with human food. Finding healthy dog alternatives is always recommended in my opinion, as somebody again who personally did make this mistake. But the like no barking, no biting. Okay, some service dogs bark as an alert. So like I think there needs to be some grace given if and only if in the rare circumstance where perhaps a medical alert dog's job is to bark. It's not common, but it does happen. That said, like, no, absolutely no service dog, no real service dog and no real service dog handler should be bringing a service dog in public that does bite or bark. And this is the frustrating thing with people bringing dogs, because I have come across many dogs in service dog gear that bite, bark, lunge, and are aggressive towards me and my guide dog. And they are in service dog gear, meaning they're representing themselves as service dogs. Even if at one point that dog had been either privately trained, owner trained, professionally trained, at one point it was behaving like a real service dog, if it has developed those behaviors, it needs to be removed from service and retrained or reevaluated to see if it's still appropriate to be a service dog at all, because it should not ever be doing that. And the other option is it's a fake service dog, right? So either way, whether it was once properly trained or whether it's fake, it shouldn't be there if it's behaving like that. Next.
Okay, and then your animal can't eat off plates or drink from glasses. Really funny story, quick aside, of Elton drinking from the glass that one time
Elton did one time drink from a glass.
on a talk show.
I was doing a talk show appearance and he evidently was very thirsty, and there was a coffee table which was like lower than his head height on set, and they had a glass of water there for me as the guest on camera, and he walked up and immediately like took a sip of it, and I was like,
He had never done that before in his life, but I think he's
Never.
just so thirsty. He's
He
like,
was
ooh, water, thank you.
Yeah, he was literally just so thirsty that he instantly was like, for me. But yes, I mean, the occasional time have I like had to use, say, like an empty Starbucks cup to give my dog water. Yes, in an emergency. I typically always carry around a collapsible silicone bowl, or I'll use an empty poop bag from the poop roll and I'll roll it down and fill that with water. But like in an absolute emergency, I've had to use like an empty cup. But majority of the time, to be honest, restaurants do offer me a bowl of water for my dog. And usually I say no, only because I am constantly giving him water when he needs it. And I'm usually avoiding giving him food, water, anything in public spaces unless it's absolutely unavoidable, like we've been traveling all day and I'm in an airport and I can't leave the airport. Or like we're sitting outside and it's just a really hot day out and like he just needs more water because he's in a winter coat. But the majority of the time, like I, even when they offer it to me, say no because I'm giving my dog food and water at the appropriate times when he's not in public spaces.
And the final one, it says, please keep your animal on a leash and within your reach at all times.
So, service dogs don't have to be wearing any official gear per se. They don't need to have any identifying equipment. They don't need a harness on. They don't need a vest on. They don't need a leash wrap. They don't need a bandana. They don't need a cape. They don't need anything that
Although Elton would like a cape.
He would like a cape to feel like superhero. They don't need any of that to like publicly identify them and be allowed in public spaces. And there's very rare occasions when the dog to be able to do its service needs to be leash free, but I'm actually not sure the laws around the leash part. Let me Google real quick.
It says, yes, in California, service dogs must generally be on a leash, harness, or tether and under the handler's control at all times in public spaces. An exception exists if the handler's disability presents the use of a leash or if the leash interferes with the dog's ability to perform specific tasks.
Right.
In which case, the handler must maintain control via voice or signals.
Okay, that's what I thought. That was my understanding, but I didn't
So they
want
got their
to
own
lie.
rules wrong.
So they got the rules wrong. Glad I did know that. I like thought that was the case, but I was second guessing myself. So yeah, that actually telling us that is against like ADA. If somebody can't have their dog on leash and they kicked them out for that, but their disability prevented them from having their service dog on a leash and the dog was still completely within their control through voice or command, like that's problematic. Is there anything at the end? Yes, there is.
Yeah, it just says, the California state law makes falsely claiming an animal to be a service animal a misdemeanor. And then it references the penal code and the food and agriculture code.
To be honest, I'm like happy that they put that there to deter people from faking it. And to be honest, my initial reaction when they handed this to me, and it's still how I feel now, is like I'm more upset that enough people abused the law and the ambiguity of the law to make this restaurant feel that they have to hand this out. I can only assume, like, LA is an extremely dog-friendly place, and especially in Venice, like, everybody has a dog. So I can only assume that people just kept bringing dogs in and kept lying when they were asked, is that a service dog and what service does it provide? Because let's all be truthful here. It's easy to lie about that. And this is why when I'm talking to customer service workers and they're asking me about their rights, I always say, it is within your right to kick a service dog out, even a real service dog, if it isn't behaving like a real service dog. And so it frustrates me that I, a service dog user, am now feeling like I'm being watched and like questioned in the back of somebody's mind, and I'm being like handed this piece of paper, and like I knew that Elton would never do any of those things. Like I wasn't worried about that. But it's frustrating that the responsibility is like on us, real service dog users, to like dispel the negative impression establishments and customer service workers have about service dogs, because fake service dogs and ill-behaved service dogs and ESAs or emotional supports being passed off as service dogs have ruined the good reputation of properly trained dogs and their handlers. And that's just really unfortunate. And like, it frustrates me that so many people abused this restaurant to the point that they felt that they had to hand this out to protect themselves and to protect the environment that they were trying to create with their restaurant. So I don't know. I would love to hear everybody else's opinions. I honestly like didn't say anything to them. Like I was just like very in shock and surprised by it and like had never faced anything like this. So I didn't really know how to handle it. And like I said, like I am more frustrated that they feel the need than the fact that they did it. But it is very interesting that they did this. I did see like somebody say that they felt like it was illegal that they even did this when I made a short about it. And then another person replied that they're like a human rights lawyer and that they don't believe it's illegal to do this, but they do believe it's certainly like ethically questionable. So I'd be very curious to hear everybody else's opinions and if I like should talk to the restaurant, like if I should call back. I will say the restaurant was lovely. All the staff were incredibly friendly. Nobody said anything to me or made me feel uncomfortable. The food was spectacular. And honestly, I would go back. I'm not mad at the restaurant. I'm mad at the situation. Second story. This was at a grocery store probably like 10 days ago. And we were at a Trader Joe's, which is where we do like 90% of our groceries for the week. And oftentimes my fiance goes on his own, but occasionally Elton and I want to go. Like if we're just like working from home all day and not really getting Elton to work much, then I'm like, here, I'll come with you and Elton will get to like enjoy working around the grocery store. My fiance usually likes to leave me at home because I am like a 2-year-old who picks everything up. I'm like, what's this? What's this? What's this? And he's like, it's gonna take 40 minutes longer than it needs to. So we were walking around, we were almost done our shop. And look, I'm very used to getting comments about Elton when I'm in public. It's very common. But this guy is like passing us in the aisle the opposite direction. So he's like walking towards me and I'm standing still while my fiance is looking for something on a shelf. And he's like, oh, is that a Newfie? Classic. The classic, is that a Newfie question? And I'm like, no, it's a Bernese Mountain Dog Labrador mix. And then he says, oh, wait, you go to XYZ gym. And I was like, yeah, I do. And he's like, me too. I'm there all the time. I see you a lot. And I was like, yeah, we love the gym. We go almost every day. And he goes, you're the inspiration at the gym. My fiance is like he can hear that I'm having a conversation with somebody, but he's not like fully paying attention because he's looking for something on the shelf. And I hear that and I'm immediately like, oh God, the cringe to be called the inspiration at the gym. Now, I think so many of us know the feeling, like disabled or not. Like most people know the fear of going to the gym because you don't want people to look at you and like clock that you don't know what you're doing or that you're not fit enough to be there, or like all these things we get in our heads about. And that just like was this moment of realizing like, oh, it's not just like that I feel like people stare at me at the gym. They literally are staring at me at the gym. Like they do notice me. And I have had people multiple times over the 2 years that I've gone to this gym come up to me and like make comments. We had somebody come up and tell me that she has a fake service dog and she should start bringing it to the gym. We had another person tell me that he knows a blind person who also works out. Like we've had these stupid comments, but it was like, you're the inspiration at the gym. And I was like, yeah, like how do you respond to that? And then he was like, I see you there all the time. Good for you. Good job. And I was like, you too. Like, why am I being congratulated for going to the gym? Why is me being at the gym inherently inspiring? Like, I don't know. It's so weird. And like, yes, the gym is a very inaccessible environment and I face a lot of those barriers when I do go to the gym, but I go to the gym anyways. And like, maybe that's what he means, but I can't help feel like he doesn't know that nuance. Like to him, all he sees is like somebody with a disability getting out and doing something that he thinks is like hard. And working out is hard. It's hard to find the motivation to work out for anybody. So like I get it, but like I don't know, it's just this weird feeling being called the inspiration at the gym. Like I don't want to be the inspiration at the gym. I just want to be a girl who's working out at the gym like we all are because we know it's good for us mentally and physically even if we don't want to be there, which I don't. But anyways, yeah, so I'm the inspiration at the gym. Now, next story happened last night. And it was also at a grocery store, but it was at a Ralph's. And we had gone to the gym where I was inspiring everyone. And then we had to pick up some groceries on our way home for dinner. And we stop in. Elton and I go in with my fiance and we're like looking around for stuff. And immediately when I walk in, there was like a little yappy dog barking at us and like making a ruckus. And I was like, ugh, gross. Like, that's so irritating. Your dog should not be barking. Because again, either that's a service dog who deserves to be kicked out because it's not behaving like a service dog, or it's not a service dog, and either way, I'm irritated. And so I'm like just ignoring, and Elton's ignoring like a good boy. And we're going about a thing, and then we're standing in an aisle, like looking at some stuff, and I hear this store employee getting really frustrated and like complaining to the coworkers, like, some dog took a giant dump in aisle 4. And I was like, she just kept repeating it. Aisle 4, there's this huge pile of dog poop. Somebody's got to clean it up. They didn't clean it up. And I immediately was like, oh no. Because, like, I'm standing there with my dog. And I'm like, please, God, let them not think it's me, because it wasn't. And, like, it just upset me so much that somebody brought a dog in who was barking, then pooped, and then they didn't even bother cleaning up the poop. And then, separately, we continue on about our business. And on the opposite side of the store to where the original yappy dog is, there is a different yappy dog. And I know it was a different yappy dog because I did hear them both barking at one point on opposite sides. So I knew it was 2 dogs. So there's a different person with a different dog who's a little dog, yapping, like growling, barking, making such a huge fuss. You can hear it like sliding, the paws like sliding on the floor as like the owner is holding the leash tight. And it's like trying to run on the linoleum and it can't get traction. Like, it's really making a huge fuss. Meanwhile, the handler, like the owner, is just like, ooh, is that a Newfie?
Yeah.
Classic. And I said, no, it's a Bernese Mountain Dog, Labrador. And she was like, oh, I used to have Great Pyrenees. And I'm like, ma'am, what are you doing? Why are you even trying to converse with me right now? My dog is trying to focus. Your dog is just attempting to distract my dog and acting a goddamn fool in a public space. And like, it's one thing if it's a clothing store. Frankly, it's a whole other thing if you're bringing your dog into spaces where it's food. Like, I trust my dog's not going to go anywhere near the food. I don't trust your dog not to. It should not be in this environment. So she keeps trying to dodge us as we're going through different aisles. She's like continually trying to move to different aisles to stay as far away from us. But the amount of times we would turn a corner and the dog would like have a freak out. And again, I was like, oh my God, please, nobody think this is my dog making a noise. And I've had that before. I had it at the other Trader Joe's once where a dog was barking and somebody approached me and said, is that your dog barking? Like one of the employees. And I said, no, but please ask them to leave because their dog is making a fuss. I don't know where the dog went. It's not my dog. And like, so I know that people might think it's my dog. And I hate that. I hate that the dog is distracting my dog. I hate that the dog is creating a bad reputation for dogs in public environments. It's just so frustrating. And more so than anything, I hate that they weren't asking her to leave. And I just feel like they don't know their rights. And it only harms us, real service dog users, when people don't know the rights that they have. And I know my rights, and I know the rights of the store. And they could have asked that person to leave. And on my way out, I was chatting with one of the employees who sees us there all the time. And she was still talking about the poop. And she was talking about it right as to somebody when we were standing right there. And we really were we don't want her thinking it's us. So we kind of were like, oh my God, wasn't that gross? That's so ridiculous. And we started talking with her. And I said, you guys are allowed to ask people with dogs like that to leave. You can ask them the question, is this a service dog? What service does it provide? Even if they answer that, quote, correctly, they have valid answers, if their dog then later on goes to do things like poop or make a big mess or fuss, you can still ask them to leave because they're not acting like real service dogs. And she was like, our higher ups told us we can't do anything. And that's annoying to me because again, it only harms real service dog users. And I'm not going to say there hasn't been situations in my 19 years where an accident's happened. Actually, all 4 of my dogs had at least one accident in a public environment for various reasons. Actually, the various reason is always an airport. After a long flight, unable to get to a toilet on time kind of vibe. Every single time. I profusely apologized. We cleaned it up. We used a poop bag. We used sanitizer. We went above and beyond to make sure that nobody stepped in it. And we apologized, and everybody was very understanding given the circumstance of okay, yeah, you're in an airport, you likely might have just gotten off a long flight and the dog just had an emergency. Accidents happen, and I do understand that. But dogs barking, growling, dragging, and pooping at a certain point, that's not valid. And neither of the dogs were even wearing vests. They weren't even trying to pretend they're service dogs. They are literally just pets. And I don't know where people get off thinking you can take your pet into stores. I've just always known my whole life that no pets allowed in stores, only service dogs. I'm so confused. Like, the audacity of people is just mind blowing. Anyways, so that's the life of me, a blind service dog user, just trying to go about my day and just people being unhinged. Would love to hear your thoughts and your unhinged public experiences in the comment section below. And until next time, if you want to hear a Q&A all about my recent engagement and wedding planning, you can click right here and check that video out. Or if you want to see another Q&A where my fiance attempts to answer questions for me, you can click right here. Okay, see you next time. Bye.